Now that President Barack Obama has won a second term, there is no question the Affordable Care Law will move forward in states across the country. Governor Scott Walker said he would not begin planning to implement the law until after the election.
Now he has about a week to make some important decisions on the future of Wisconsin health care coverage. News 8's Carrie Vick has been following this and joins us now with the story.
Well, the governor has 8 days to decide whether Wisconsin will run its own health insurance exchange for individuals and small businesses, leave it up to the federal government, or a combination of both. The governor was in La Crosse today for a small business summit, and when asked about his decision on the exchange, he says it will all come down to what benefits the taxpayer the most. President Barack Obama's victory means the Affordable Care Law is a go, leaving Governor Walker with an important decision to make on how the state's health care exchange will be run.
The only question is what kind. Is it state-run? Is it run by the federal government, or is it a partnership, which is a mix of the two?
It's a decision that will have to be made in the next 8 days.
So all it is basically filling out a form and saying this is the type of exchange we're going to have, but you're not going to put much meat on the bones at that point in time.
To understand the exchange, you can think of it kind of like an online marketplace where individuals and small businesses shop for insurance coverage. And while some think choosing a state-run exchange is an easy choice, it may not be that simple.
You know, there's a lot of opportunity here in Wisconsin to develop a creative exchange that addresses unique needs. We have a lot of folks that have thought about this issue, worked on this issue, that have ideas to put on the table, and to let this just be developed by federal policymakers, I think is a mistake.
There's a part of me that looks at a state-run one and says, I don't want to give up anything that I don't have to the federal government. But having said that, there's a real question as to any state, not just Wisconsin, with the way the law is set. Does the state have any real flexibility in how to do that? And increasingly, our belief is it doesn't. The risk you run is if a state runs it, eventually money goes away from the federal government. You might expose state taxpayers to picking up more and more of that cost, whereas if it's a federally run exchange, they take on all the costs.
And as the deadline draws near, Governor Walker says the decision will hinge on what option sets Wisconsin up for success.
The question is, which is the best way to implement an exchange in the state that ultimately does the most to protect the taxpayers in the state.
Now, after a response is turned into the federal government next week, they'll be reviewed this January, but it won't be until January 2014 that the exchange will actually take effect. The governor says that leaves them with a full year to design Wisconsin's exchange or change their mind on whether it should be run by the state, the federal government, or a partnership.